So, let's start off with our 5 litres of water. We seem to have a slight technical difficulty. Righto legends, we are back. I'm sorry that it was a little bit longer than I'd hoped between videos, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Today I thought I'd just bring you guys up to speed with what's been happening in the front yard and see how it's continued to recover since my end of season renovation. And as I think I mentioned in the last video, going forward now for me, an end of season renovation is going to become the norm because the results are looking pretty good. Since our last video, had a couple of pretty cold mornings. We've got down to just below freezing, and this morning got down to 2 degrees. So our winter frosts are not too far away, which makes me just want to do one final application of liquid iron just to help the plant cope with our first few light frosts and just help to lock in that tiny bit of color for a little bit longer. Going forward after that, my intention is to actually do something that I never thought I'd do. This year, for the first time ever, and I actually laughed at this idea when I first came across it, how things have changed. This year, I'm actually going to try a turf pigmentation, so a color in it, if you will. So if you want to be really simple about it, I'm going to paint my lawn. Not going to do that today. A few reasons why. Number one is to get the best results, needs to be pretty much dormant and not growing and still some color. So it's a fine line. Doing my mow this morning, I'm still getting a considerable amount of grass off this. And if I continue to get that grass off this once I've applied the pigmentation, I'm just going to mow it out. So it's a fine line. So I'm going to let it hang out into early winter, then do that application. I've actually noticed a little bit of potentially fusarium patch that has now turned up in the lawn. It has actually been here in previous years. So I'm probably going to have to look at putting down a fungicide in the coming weeks. But today, let's just have a quick look around. As I said, we're going to chuck the iron out. Then we're going to move out the back. And I haven't done much in the backyard for a while. We're going to do some mowing. So recently gave the John Deere some love, new set of blades, new belt, and a new blade tensioner. So ready to give that a whirl, tidy that backyard up. It hasn't had a mow in a while, and it's actually looking pretty good. We've just had enough rain here to keep things looking quite good. So anyway, enough talk. Let's get some iron on this lawn here, and then we'll move out the back. Instead of just using this opportunity to plug Plant Doctor products, I thought I'd do this in a little bit of a different way. Quite often or not, I just fill this tank up and then I time lapse a bit of a spraying episode. Today I want to just change it up a little bit. Now, when it comes to mixing products, I just want to run through the way I mix products just to help you guys at home get the best from whatever that product might be. Now, the best tip I can give you is to start with just some fresh water in the tank. So this is an 18 litre sprayer. I'm going to put 5 litres in the tank straight away. Minus the bit I'm spilling out. From here on in, now, I know I've got this tank calibrated that I can get 300 square meters going over this area twice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to half fill up this now. Then I'm going to add our product into here. Now, obviously, if this was something that was a little bit more serious than our liquid iron here, I'd have appropriate masks and gloves, spray suit on. But for this instance, we're fine with just gloves. So although not ideal to be mixing products on the lawn, for the purpose of this demonstration and the fact it's better to look at than concrete, I'm just going to do that. So we're going to add now 600, so 200 mils per 100 square meters, so 600 mils. So that will be 5, that's 5 there. And another 100. Be careful not. I'm trying really hard not to get out on the lawn because it probably will burn, being so concentrated. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit more water. And look, you might not need to go to the extremes of having a dedicated mixing jug like this here. You put your 5 litres in, you could then technically add this straight to the tank. I like to use a paint stirrer just to mix this up and get it all through there properly. Some products will mix more easily than others, but In this case, for the demonstration, let's just go like this. Okay, so now, as I said, I'm gonna have to be pretty careful with this because we're on the lawn. Or if it was on the concrete, be careful because you don't want to stain the concrete. Always triple rinse your jugs, etc., which is the industry standard for making sure that you've removed as much chemical residue as possible. In this case, we'll just tip it into here. Now, I like to give it a little bit of a stir up again just to make sure it's all mixed in. And honestly, I do this off camera as well as I'm doing it now for you on camera. This is just how I do things. You know, products are expensive these days and we need to make sure we're getting the best out of them. So give it a bit of a stir up. Obviously, more fancy sprays will have agitation, what do you call it? Agitation ability. This, obviously a backpack does not have that. So we have to do things manually. And just top it off a little bit. And we're good to go. So if you've been applying a product, doesn't have to be iron, could be anything, and you feel that you haven't had the best response from the product, it can be simply not mixed correctly, or you haven't had even coverage with what you're spraying with. But 9 times out of 10, if you're not mixing this through thoroughly, it's going to reduce its effectiveness. So just thought I'd share that tip. It's been something I probably should have brought up before now. So anyway, enough of that waffle. I hope you've got a bit out of that little tip there. We'll get this sprayed out and then we'll move on to some mowing at the back. Okay, so iron is down. Now look, keep in mind, if you have followed the label rates, in my case, I've done 200 mils per 100 square meters in sufficient water, and there will be water rates, so the amount of water required as a minimum per 100 square meter mix to avoid burning. There should be no requirement for you to water that in afterwards. In fact, correctly applied iron will work better on the leaf if left, and if you need to irrigate the next day, that's fine. But if you feel that maybe your iron versus water mix is a little bit strong, then I'd suggest giving it a really light water after application, but nothing too heavy because we want this product to remain on the leaf to do its work. So it's down now. We should start to see some results. Probably too late in the day to see much of a change today, but maybe by tomorrow afternoon, we should start to see an increased color of green in this lawn. Now, it's not going to take us back to summer depths of green, but it's going to increase our shade of green here a little bit. It's going to protect this from the cooler weather that's coming through and minimize initial frost damage. So let's move on now and let's have a look at the back, because it's been a long time since we've been out there. There probably has been not a lot different in the backyard since we were last here, but I thought I'd just run you through a few of the things that have been happening here, a few of the future plans that are going to happen. We'll take a look at the green. Let's do that right now, actually. Here's this bullfed. Hello, Max. As you can see, I've put the green on ice for the moment. Now, this is all part of the plan to extend my Primo Zoysia, which we've got here. And last time we were here, this still hadn't fully filled in. So as you can see now, 100% coverage. In fact, I've already started to plug from it again through this next section through here. Now, this won't do a great deal through winter, that we will see, but under the surface it will be moving very slowly, and once spring comes, the temperature warms up again, we'll start to see this start to really take on. And I'll be curious to see if that actually speeds up the process, because traditionally I've planted this at the beginning of the summer. This I've planted right at the end. So we're watching that with interest. As you can see, there's been a bit of winter grass here, which I have killed. It's starting to yellow off nicely right now because I was somewhat limited about putting any sort of pre-emergent down, because obviously I'm planting plugs of grass that I'm trying to establish. So I have now killed off this winter grass that's here. Happy days. Going back to the green for a minute, as I said, I have put it on ice. I did shave it down. I deliberately didn't give it a lot of food. I just sort of left it to suffer a bit because I do want to change it out. And for the moment, to be quite honest, I'm kind of done with the putting green. I do want to change it to Prima, as I said, but for the moment, it's a lot of work. I'm not getting a lot of use out of it at the moment. And I've really actually just enjoyed spending time out the front this year, and it really shows for it. So for now, putting green's taking a back burner. But today, going to give all the greater area a mow with the John Deere. Now, some of you may or may not be aware, with my backyard, for example, anything that I haven't built from the ground up myself, in other words, the green, or in the front lawn's case, all those areas have irrigation. But the greater area that's untouched, although is prepped for irrigation down the track, there are no sprinklers up here. So basically what we're dealing with up the back here is really just nature itself. So when nature allows me to get rain on it, it grows, it gets green. I fertilized this a couple of months ago, and I haven't actually had a chance to mow it, and I've been itching to do that for a while now. So it's looking probably the best it's ever looked in a long, long time, considering, you know, the time of year it is. And I reckon we're going to get quite a bit of grass. So you can see as we get down here, this cooch, it's really good. And it does just go to show, you can keep cooch mown taller, mown with a ride-on, and still look really good. It's not specifically just a cylinder mower grass. It can look quite nice with a rotary mower, or in my case, a ride-on. The sort of silvery, coppery, browny tinge is obviously all seed head, and in amongst it, there's a bit of leftover summer grasses and stuff here, weeds, etc. But I have done my broadleaf spray. I did a broadleaf spray a few weeks ago. So yeah, they're all taken care of now. Back corner over here, I know this has been a long time coming. I am putting a shed in this corner here. So I have now got my stormwater connected. I've got power ready to go. I've just left this trench settle naturally. The reason for that is because I've used a 90mm stormwater pipe, you don't want to put a lot of weight on that and squash it prematurely. So this has been naturally, the soil's been put across naturally, let it slowly fill in. That is actually now what they call a charged line. So it is plumbed into the house system. So there's actually water in that there, and it will go through to my water tank. So that'll get smoothed out pretty soon. This weed infested garden over here is going to have to change because the shed will sort of encroach into that. Hence, again, I've just forgotten about it. Very, very appalling, I know, but unfortunately, it's just the way it goes sometimes. We'll redo that in the coming months, maybe even next spring, I don't know. We'll redo that, we'll get it looking right. Fish are happily breeding away, doing what fish do in a cattle trough. They're loving life. I've got a tank that I'm going to build a filter for them out of at some stage. And obviously down here, again, I've been a bit lazy. I haven't done anything in correcting the trench for the shed, the power and the stormwater. So it runs down here. Buffalo's looking good. Again, I haven't done much with it. I've just been mowing it basically with the ride-on mower, so it's a little bit shorter than I normally keep it, but at this time of year, as you can see, this is nearly in full shade all the time. So looking pretty good for that now. Durban grass is going gangbusters after our renovation, and we will, I promise you, we will go down to the turf farm real soon and do an update down there, but it's doing well. A trial of zoysia. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll remember I did a zoysia plant here, the Zoysia australis, to try it out. I terminated that early, so I did actually end up spraying it out. It did actually start to work, but I did spray it out deliberately, and going forward, I will actually change this whole area out and just change up a little bit down the track. So lots of stuff happening here. Got a fair bit coming up at Mum and Dad's as well. So going to do some turfing and irrigation and stuff down there throughout the off season now. So we'll go into a bit of irrigation install, that sort of stuff. And in spring, we'll actually lay some turf. And I'm thinking we might actually try down there some Surgrain zoysia in their backyard, and out the front, I'm going to go Tiff Tuff, the same as I've got here. But the Surgrain zoysia is just a little point of difference, and I'm really keen to give it a go. I think that's really about everything that's sort of happening here now. As I said, this is screaming to be tidied up. I'm itching to have a go at that mower now, put new blades on it and new belts and give it a lot of love, because it's done a lot of renovation work over the season. So let me go and dig it out of the shed, and yeah, let's turn this around. We'll get this looking real nice. I'm actually really keen to get this mower out today because it's had a big season of doing a lot of renovations, and the blades on this were beyond worn. They're actually quite embarrassing. So I've given this a full service. So it's got new blades, new plugs, air filter, oil filter, fuel filter. And the other thing is the D series tractors had a concern with the tensioner of the drive of the cutter belt. So it started to experience the belt tension issue that these get. The spring isn't the right tension to give enough tension on the belt. There's a lot of tension there. So I've got the new replacement part. I haven't yet tried it. I'm keen. Let's just get on with it. I'm not going to set this real low. Probably 3 inches, I reckon, or maybe 1 beneath 3. We'll try that. Not looking to go super low today. Just looking for a nice even tidy up. So let's crack on. Okay, it's not too bad, but I might lift the height up a little bit. It did scalp just slightly in a few places now. That's probably because new blades are cutting sharper. It's got a better lift on the blade, so it's actually lifting up grass higher than the old blades would have done. So therefore, it's probably cutting technically A, better, and B, shorter than what it was before with the dull blades. So I'm gonna take it up probably 1/2 inch, so 3.5 inches, which seems incredibly tall, but for a paddock style lawn here, I think that's all we're going to need to do for this time of year. Not looking to go crazy low on this, because as soon as things dry out again, this lawn will die off, rains again, comes back. So I like to keep the lawn a bit longer and enjoy it while it's here, because I know that it will go again, especially in spring if we don't get the spring rain. So we'll lift it up to 3.5, and I think that'll be a pretty nice height going forward. Okay, so we've found our height of cut. I ended up going in 3 1/4 inches. I came down from the 3.5. It just was a little bit too high, and I thought I might be able to squeeze it down 1, so we did. We went down 1, and now this is not the world's best lawn, but pretty happy with how this is looking now. It's obviously not the most weed-free lawn, but this is actually wintergreen cooch, this section here. and so far it's doing a pretty good job. It will quickly lose its colour once we start to get frosting, but until that time it'll just keep singing along and doing what it's doing. So 3 1/4 inches is our height of cut. I'll set you guys up out of the way and we'll crack into it. Well, it's certainly starting to look a lot better. Definitely a lot tidier. As I said, it's no showstopper, but for a paddock lawn, I'm pretty happy with it. There you go, 2 bags and the green bin is full. So the rest is going to get squished into the red bin, I'd say. Just on the whole paddock yard thing, unfortunately for me, here in Scone on this side of town, there's not a lot of groundwater on this particular part of town, and if you do happen to find any bore water or groundwater, it's generally too salty to be of use. So I am limited here to what I can do. If I was in a situation that I had the ability to put a bore that was going to give me reliable water, by now I would have had a bore and I would irrigate this whole lot. Unfortunately, being on town water and being on a really large block, I am limited to what I can do. So, as I said, paddock yard will stay paddock yard. Righto, well that's looking 1,000 times better. Well, it is in real life, so I hope it's coming through like that on camera. Really tidies it up, looks really nice, really lush. All that's left now is to tidy up along the back fence with the little bush ranger mower there. It's proving to be a really great little utility mower. As I said, since I've had the little spacer manufactured to drop that blade down just a little bit more, even non-scalping applications, I just find it's a totally different machine. So really enjoyed using that for just general tidy up around areas where catching the grass isn't really that important. So we'll get that bit done. There's also a little tiny bit on the other side of the fence there. There's a double fence, and that'll be a lot. And just like that, we're all done. Now, really happy with how this came up for what it is. So as you can see, as we look down here, like nothing dramatic. You know, there's plenty of better lawns out there, but you know, for 3 1/4 inches, pretty happy with that. Really happy. Anyway guys, look, more content to come in the near future. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you like this video, like it, share it with your mates, consider subscribing, it helps the channel grow. Have a fantastic weekend and we'll catch you next time on the Aussie Lawn.